So I was asked to speak today about messy modern love. And this is a project that actually began way back in, pre-lockdown, 2020. I was actually at art school at the time. I was at Chelsea College of Art doing my postgrad. At the time, when I was at Chelsea, I was thinking a lot about the idea of the hysterical woman and how we have silenced women's stories historically, and we still do, by effectively rendering the storyteller mad, bad, or sad. And so what it does is, even if you have these stories, they're normally laced in shame. And I did a performance called Mad Girl's Love Song where I shared my story. And I found this really interesting thing happened that was after that, privately in the canteen, people would come up to me and they would then share their stories with me. And often, the one thing all these stories were accompanied by was the person saying to me, "I've never told anyone else that before." And I thought, that's interesting. So by me becoming a kind of mad girl, I'd sort of revealed myself to be a safe space to kind of gather other people's stories. And I started to think, how could I replicate this beyond the canteen and beyond my own experiences? So I decided the way to do this in lockdown was I set up this website, lockdownlovestories.com. And this was what it said on day one of the submissions page. It said, "This is the place for your lockdown love confessions. Share your experiences anonymously here. This is the place to share without shame." And when I, within a few days, started gathering these stories and realized the way to reach more people was not just to have a website, but obviously to bring it out on social media, I put the project on Instagram. And for me, that was a kind of radical subversive act because I was trying to counter social media. So I thought by actually being on that platform, it was quite subversive. But I had to then obviously deal with the fact that I was going to then expose these people to comments. If their stories were being shared, then people could comment on them. And that potentially could lead to them feeling shamed, and that was going to inhibit submissions. And basically, to counter shame, you need two things. You need a safe space to be able to express how you're feeling. So often, that for people, that will be therapy. But obviously, that comes with a financial barrier. Basically, what you need is to know that when you're going to share your story, it's going to be accepted and not going to be judged or shamed for it. And then the most important thing that needs to follow that, really, is recognition from another person and validation that I feel that same way too, me too. And that's the part that actually counters shame, because shame is the feeling that there is something deeply, uniquely wrong with you. It's a very isolating experience. And that was what I needed to get to the heart of unpicking. So I just basically ferociously managed the comments, and I was just there all the time, either if there was any shaming, deleting them or messaging the person to be no, that could be read in this way, or just everywhere on the about section of that page was no shaming, no judgment. If you want to judge someone, this is not the place. And I hope it was pretty clear early on, and it reached the people that needed this, because generally people were so respectful and supportive of the stories that they were reading. The people that were following the project, these were the kind of comments: "If this ain't me, too legit." I felt every damn word. I could have written this myself. And someone messaged me, "It's funny how everyone has a story like that. Why don't we have more realistic depictions of love in everything we consume culturally? Why make us go through the trauma?" And I'm going to read you the story that the majority of those comments related to, because the stories that kind of elicited those kind of responses in people, I felt, were the ones that are where we're revealing that we're not living our best life or not behaving as we think we should be. And that was very powerful. It's called Unsent. "Sometimes I enter your nickname in WhatsApp and type, 'I miss you,' just to get the words out of my head. I see the word online appear, wishing for it to change to is typing, as if you'll read my mind and say, 'I miss you too.' but just seeing you're online and okay has to be enough now because you're right. We couldn't carry on. And that's what people were saying. And genuinely, up until that moment, I thought I was the only one who was like going onto WhatsApp and seeing if a person was online and when they last been online, and then telling my brother and sister about it. But turns out other people were doing the same thing too. And that made me feel so much better. And that is what sharing our stories is about. It's about countering that it's just meanness, that feeling of being abnormal, and actually realizing, wow. By putting these stories in public, what I was trying to do was elevate the status of these stories that we hadn't heard before by showing people, whoever had submitted them or whoever was feeling that same way, that these stories matter. They deserve to be heard. They need to be out there on a big scale. Because for me, the more people that could be brought into this project, even if they weren't going to submit a story, just by reading these stories, I felt they were doing so much for mental health. I just wanted to get it out there as much as possible. So I'm just going to finish with the very beginning of the book, which is actually my introduction, which kind of gives an overview of the whole thing. Let me tell you something radical. Your darkest secrets, your most repulsively shameful thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, you're not alone in them. They're normal. Thank you.